Hello, my name is Surette Rosa, and I just want to honor you and thank you for taking this moment to be present with me and for me to be in your presence. This morning I woke up with a conversation taking place in the inner landscape of my being, which I refer to as my soulscape. And the conversation, I have many conversations within myself, but this morning's conversation was different. At the beginning, there was usually a conversation between aspects of myself in my mind. Other times, there were conversations between my mind, my human mind, and my spiritual mind. And then more recently, the conversations started to deepen into a merging of those two minds into one. And this whole place and space within me started to become a more clearer place of grace. And same as with you, we've been on a journey, to say the least. Paths have been walked by all of us, each one of us. And what I do know is you would not have connected with the resonance of my vibration and presence if you weren't meant to receive the message of my being. And here you are, listened to the call, answered the call, resonated with something that has drawn you to this moment. And coming back to the conversation that was inside of me this morning, it was different. I'm now so used to, after many months and years of practicing, I'm used to distinguish between when is it the mind of my human self, when is the mind of my divine self, and when is it the mind of my unified presence. And I'm sure you've done exactly the same. You're now very clear on when there's an integrated message that comes forward, we listen because there's a reason. And what made the conversation a bit different today was two things. The first one is there's a message that you need to share. And secondly, it provided me the landscape or the context of what needed to be shared. And the human aspect of me just showed me for a moment there a reminder of the path that I walked as a not fully awakened human yet. And that was a path of working with leadership transformation and cultural transformation, of personal mastery, of translating leadership behavior into the place of work, and to measure that. Yes, it just, if I use that language now, it feels and that excites me because I know, therefore, I have transcended that experience. Yet I do deeply honor the teachings that was provided for me in walking that path. And I will share the one or two highlights of that teaching. And then there was also the conversation of my spiritual self and the path that I walked as a spiritual being when I started to awaken to my true nature and started the path of ascending into my I am presence, and everything that has been shown to me on that path was, again, this morning, just a view of that and a view of my human path, and the journey that I've been through to integrate both the divine and human aspects of myself to become this fully grounded integration of the paths as one. And also simultaneously, I've been taken back to 2 years ago. This last week, I was guided to start sharing the poems that I've written 2 years ago and the channelings or streams of consciousness that's been flowing through me already at that stage. And I started doing, I've now done 2 or 3 of those, sharing of those either poems or then self-source sovereignty is what I call it. And what I've noticed when I published it on this YouTube channel, I also looked back at the 2 conversations that I recorded there and 1 interview. And what I've realized was that at that stage, I was certain that I'm ready to receive the messages of my being. In fact, I knew exactly what the messages of my being is. However, there was a part of the path that still needed to be walked to crystallize more clearly and anchor more deeply the messages of my being. And for me, what I'm so deeply realizing is we are all here with messages to be grounded, firstly, and secondly, the paths that we have walked has prepared us to embody those messages. And there's individual messages, and there's for the individual integration and living in our individual lives. For example, integrating a learning through my day when I start waking up and go through the different things during the day to ensure that learning is integrated and interwoven through all that I do during the day, knowing that doing so I'm grounding the learnings and the consciousness of it. And then there's also learnings and messages that's to be shared with others, so that we can support others to also therefore ground it in their daily beingness. And I know you know exactly what I'm saying, because otherwise you wouldn't have tuned into my channel and my messages that I'm sharing. So I know that each one of you that is present with me right now in this moment, not only looking at me and receiving the codes that comes with that, but also hearing the messages and receiving the codes that comes with that. Each one of you has walked a different path than most. This I know, or else you wouldn't have been here. And that what makes that path that we have walked so different is we have explored and were taken through our journeys to the depths of the felt experience of separation of humanity. Yeah. And I know there's many, many, many days that you wanted to give up, just like I wanted to give up. But I always knew there's a reason why I'm walking through this. There's a reason why I'm walking through this, and continue to walk. You know, in the background, knowing something is pushing us, holding our hand, guiding us, leading us. We always knew that. We always knew we were never alone, yet many times felt so alone. And it's always meant to be a journey that was to be taken alone, because to go to the depths of those places and spaces within the psyche of humanity is needed to really clear all the consciousness of what surrounds those places. And we've done it. There was a time that I thought I'm never getting out of this. And I'm sure you resonate with that. And sometimes it wasn't only a day before I continued. Sometimes it took a good old week or two to really get out of that stickiness of that consciousness. And at the beginning, I didn't even know, why am I walking through this stickiness again? Why? And why is others' path so easy that they don't walk through the stickiness? Important question, that one. Because those that has walked through the stickiness has ensured that all the depth of the dirt, if I can call it that, is cleaned up. Because we know the message of our being is to ground and anchor the sovereignty of the cosmos, of creation. We chose it. We didn't know in this human incarnation, probably others, that that was the chosen path. But it was. It was always that. When it was asked who would love to ground and anchor the sovereignty of the cosmos in our beloved Earth, we've put our hands up, regardless of what it would entail. And most of the time, while being in human form, didn't even know that that was what it was. We weren't supposed to know. You know this. We weren't supposed to know. Or else it would have been easier. We would have taken shortcuts, or, you know, just do what others do. But no, we've walked that path. And we are now finished with walking that path. The last year or two, when there was still steps to be taken on that path, was just to ensure that the sovereignty of all fibers of our bodies and beings are restored. Because only then, and only then, can the true grounding thereof take place. And if you notice, what has happened this last few moments on our beloved planet Earth? Two things. The first thing is the collective human consciousness has started to ascend into the remembrance of who they are too, just like we did those years ago. So there's a mass awakening that's happening at the moment. And the second thing is complete chaos in the physical world of the matrix, as everything is starting to dissolve. Everything that's not in the highest truth, everything that's not in the highest love, and everything that is not in alignment with our Divine Mother, Father, Creator and Creatrix of all light and life, is all dissolving. We knew this was going to happen. Some even thought it might happen in the year 2000, 2012, 2020. There were many phases and processes that need to occur. All that I do know is the timeline doesn't matter because, as you know, time doesn't exist. So most of you have also already felt prepared in sharing the messages of your being, because I know, just like I am, you are driven. You are driven by your divinity. Yet over this last year or two, you felt, why am I not completely yet getting my messages out there? I've asked it too. In fact, not only have I asked it, I had to be shown, just like you, the last aspects of the clarity to be birthed through you, through sovereignty of your beingness. Yeah, and then when we listen to others that has also already ascended, there's so many messages, and in each one want to give their own feel to their message. But if you listen to all those messages, there's similarities, but there's also a lot of differences, and that just creates a lot of confusion. And I was one of the confused ones, because I was searching for guidance, for leadership. And then as soon as I resonate with someone and I think this is the guidance and leadership that I need, then I just realize there's something quite not resonating with me. Yeah, yes, it's resonating, but there's something, there was always something. And I've tried and tested many of it. I'm sure you too. And I think what's important to notice, especially those last 2 years, that which you wanted to birth just didn't birth. Two things are important. The first thing is the truest, most purest essence of your being wasn't yet fully captured in it. The energy with which you share is equally important than the energy with which you have captured that creation. And now that this whole planetary body also ascended into her higher consciousness, it's time to birth now. And the second thing is that be aware. Just quickly glance over the last 2 years. Be aware how you've been prepared until this moment to really embody and integrate and anchor the essence of the energy behind your messages. And if you look at it, you will see that essence is sovereignty. Sovereignty is a big word and has been used or misused by a lot of countries. The sovereignty of our state. We are here as embodied, integrated messengers of sovereignty to ground that. And we know, because of our unified presence in the source of all that is, we know what true sovereignty is. You know, you know. And that is the overarching message of the souls that's going to connect to this channel. And whether it's my channel, your channel, our channel, doesn't matter. It is a collective of leaders, guardians, stewards, whose sole focus is on the sovereignty of creation. And if I say the sovereignty of creation, I include all of creation. Our Divine Mother, Father, the source of all light and life, doesn't love a plant less than a person, doesn't love an animal less than an element. Our Creator loves all equally. And that, I know, is what you know too, as an embodied sovereign leader. So coming back to this morning, the conversation of my human aspect, my divine aspect, and my integrated aspects. My human aspect reminded me about my journey, my chosen path in the field of leadership. I've been working last 25 years or so with leadership transformation, transforming the behaviors of leaders in all industries. And so that's around leadership. And my divine spiritual journey this last 25 years, consciously, mixed messages, searching for answers outside, discovering aspects of self, ascending, walking that path, searching guidance. Also, one message needed that's sovereign and provides support. Leadership, spiritual leadership, is where the integration, the embodiment, and the anchoring is starting to happen now. And if we want to provide guidance to others, who do they want to receive guidance from? Those that can create context, those that has walked the path, those that lives the path daily. And you are that person. I'm that person. We are those people. And it's time to provide that. Now that our planetary body has ascended into her highest nature, while we were ascending into our highest nature, and the collective consciousness is awakening into the truth of all of creation, they will need guidance. So coming back to my human aspect that has walked the path of leadership transformation, embodied, there were always parts of me that looked simultaneously at the leaders that I was working with and the groups workers, as they call them. Although if I just say that word, it just, ugh, the peoples they were serving. I always spoke to both, because I care for both. I care what they are receiving, and I care what they are doing to be received. And what I've noticed, and I'm not sharing this from one workshop that I had with a group of leaders. I'm sharing this based on experience with leadership transformation across many industries for many years. And what I've noticed, and I'm not generalizing, I'm taking the themes of what emerged. And what I've noticed is there's many of those leaders that was present when we worked with forming and formulating the strategy of the organization. No, I'm not talking about a grocery store with 10 employees. I'm talking about industries that's huge, that it serves thousands and thousands and thousands of people. When strategy was formulated, there was always this, can we just get this done so that we have a plan to go and integrate? You know, there was always this energy there, year in, year out, with the yearly strategies. And then when we just came together again to ensure that that the leaders were still on track with their deliverables, if you can use that language, which feels very old school right now. You know, it was just, let's just quickly show this. What I've noticed over that, why I'm saying that is, what I've noticed over all of those years is the one theme that I heard again and again and again, not only from other people that worked with leadership transformation, but also from the leaders themselves, is that when they get back to their place of where they need to go and implement this, 9 out of 10 times that document was just put into a drawer and forgotten about. The action was just done because it needed to be done, not taken to heart. And I remember the first time I noticed that, I was deeply disturbed. And I thought, what is going on here? And when I spoke to the people, there was always a disconnect with what their expectation of a leader is and what they've experienced. Because I also worked with the translating, you know, strategy into smaller plans, and breaking it down for the individuals to understand. And then having conversations just to test, you know, is strategy being implemented? And 9 out of 10, they didn't even know what the big organizational strategy was. And more importantly, they also didn't quite feel like they understand how they fit into that. Okay, so enough said about leadership. There's a lot that I can say, but it's not to the purpose. The reason why I'm sharing this story right now is the message is as clear as can be. People need to know how they fit into the bigger picture. And therefore, I think it's really important during this time in our creation and co-creation of a whole new way of being and leading in this world. There is a clear, consistent message that is needed to be heard. by all. And what I mean by that is, it is important to know what the messages of your being is. And I'm sure there are many. For me, equally, there's just so many messages. There's just so many messages. And I think it's critical that people know what is the message, what are they hearing and seeing? What are they hearing and seeing consistently? Every time when they hear or see a message from that is included. And why I'm saying that is that I have taken probably 1 second and I knew exactly what the messages was. It's important for you to identify what are those 3 messages, and to make sure that through everything that you say and do and be and live all of the time, that you are including that. And the importance of that is, if we focus on 10 or 12 things, there's usually inconsistent energy in all of them. Whereas if you take 3 and you put all your energy in those 3, you make sure that those messages are going through. And in this case, what is the overarching message is sovereignty. And what's the overarching embodiment? It is the unified presence of our human and our divine bodies of being. So unifying our humanity and our divinity in the sovereignty of our being. One overarching message. And then in that one overarching message for the group that works with sovereignty of consciousness, of creation, of all bodies of being. For me, the 3 messages that I'm anchoring, because we're now moving into a place of anchoring the paths that we have walked through, the messages of our being into the earth plane, anchoring that, so that all the anchoring that I'm doing, you're doing, and all of us are doing is laying at this strong, stable, solid foundation of sovereignty for homes to be built upon. And the 3 messages of my being is all the answers to integrate your divinity in your humanity. All your answers lies within you, without exception. All your answers lies within you. There's no book or guru that has got the answer. There's no one book or guru of all the answers lies within. Yes, there will be a small message you see here, there, receive there. But you know on a very, very, very deep level that message was placed there by you, by the source of you, and you just connect with that stream. That usually happen when you don't look for it, and you don't look for an answer or guidance or something. It's just, oops, there it is. Even that intuitive that brought that up came from within. All the answers lies within. My second message: you are Earth. You are Earth. Every atom of your body and being is the Earth. up until this moment in the evolution of our beloved Gaia Sophia, Earth was referred to as something outside of us that we are standing upon and anchoring into. That has shifted. We are Earth. We are the consciousness of the whole Earth. I am Gaia Sophia. Second message of my being. And the third message of my being. I am grounding the whole cosmos into the earth of my being. And it's never been so clear until this moment. The path that I've been on has prepared me. I remember the first time when I heard about multidimensionality and all these dimensions and, you know, again, mixed messages. I was so eager and so curious. What does it mean? What's multidimensionality? What's this? What's this? Searching outside, searching, reading. If I only knew from the beginning, I just could have asked my highest self. I could have asked Source as a stream of my self that has always flowed through me, because it flowed me into this body and has continued to even breathe into me and through me all of the time. It's always been there. And as I started realizing that, through it being shown to me, in this little part of my head, in this little place of my shoulder, here in my hip, oh, here in my heart, there in my foot, everywhere in my body. The word given to me at one stage was soulscape. The landscape of my soul is within my whole body. And when I realized that, fully, all of my intention and attention moved from outside to inside. And then the path started to start anchoring and grounding that. And I was shown every step of the way. And that's what I mean with all answers are within. And then when I started realizing, oh my goodness, I am the earth. Bigger shift. And then only after that, you're here to anchor the whole cosmos, the sovereignty of the cosmos through the body of your being, the earth of your body. So those are my messages. Be clear on your messages. And the next thing that I want to share is about the leadership, the stewardship, the guardianship that is required at this stage. There's been many, 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 many leaders over many incarnations on this earth and in different galaxies and universes as well. And there's many definitions. And if I say leader, I include being a guardian, a steward. Maybe some new word will emerge without all the history and the heaviness of words that already exist. The word that was given to me is Sophianic leadership. And the messages that I started to receive when I started opening up to the fullness of our Creator within me. I've shared this before, but just to ground it here, I just maybe to create some context first. I remember just after I passed away in ICU. This was 2020, where most of us experienced a significant event in that year with lockdown. I ended up going to ICU, having a complex operation, and died in ICU. And in that moment was shown many, many, many things in the depths of the psyche of humanity. And in the days and weeks that followed, I was laying in bed. I couldn't walk. I had to learn how to walk and do things again. And that's where my husband at the time showed me what partnership looks like in the physical form. Being a soul that has chosen to sit with me day in, day out, to make sure that I've got everything that I need so that I can heal my body. And through doing so, that I not only get in touch with the fullness and wholeness of the essence of my presence and beingness on this earth, but I could start to embody it, because each one of my cells were filled with the source consciousness of sovereignty. And my husband was the witness of all of that. It taught me about the importance of being witnessed. And when I could start slowly walking again, that was also the time when I started to receive more and more messages through me, and I couldn't understand what it was at the time. I know I received messages like that before that also, but here it was different. It was like I started talking and there was information just flowing out of my mouth, and I couldn't understand what it was. And just when I really wanted to give up on understanding what it was, I started looking, so what does it mean? And I need to find out. There's a name that was already given to it, and many names have been given to it since. But the first name that I heard about it was channeling. And that day I enrolled for a channeling course. And the very first time I had to channel, I seen crystalline beings. So in the purest form of energy, firstly, and secondly, the messages that started flowing out of me was from a woman speaking through me. And so there's many things at some stage that I can share about that. But for now, why I'm sharing that is the message was also clear. Go and put that onto paper, that which I just saw. I saw this whole earthly body in me. And I've put that on paper, and I couldn't make drawings. So I used what they now call, I think it's pentology or something. I started making, created this picture of what I was seeing in my inner landscape, in my soulscape. And I put it up in my study. And the next morning, my husband walked by, said, "I've got a name for her." I said, "What?" And he said, "Sophia." And I said, "Who's Sophia?" He said, "No, I don't know. It's just a name that I want to give to her." And yeah, that's when I started realizing I was channeling Sophia. And what I now know, looking back at that time, is that we are all just channels or vessels or instruments of source consciousness. It's not about the name, whether you call it being a channel or a vessel, it doesn't matter. It's not about the name. And whatever name you give to source consciousness or God, Sophia, there's many that also channel the Pleiades and other star systems and entities. And that's all perfectly fine, because all are attuning to what is present for them. Important message that. So on our paths, mine and yours, you have also started, or probably at this stage, or continuously allowing the flow of source consciousness to move through you. What I do know is that what's required is this, that is moving through the earth and this body as the earth. We are starting a whole new epoch in evolution of creation. And this earth is the center point of all of the cosmos. I don't know about you, but I want to stand in that which is sovereign, and I want to build upon that which is sovereign. And I'm sure there's a few people out there that are looking to see where can they find the sovereignty in all of this that's happening on this planet right now. And that's where we come in. It's time to share our messages in whatever form that really brings you joy. I remember when I started posting my poetry, my messages yesterday I've shared some, I think somewhere the weekend, and last Monday when I started sharing it, I'm like a little child. I am so excited. I remember the first time when I created it, I really tried to figure out how to do it. Now I'm just so excited to share that. It brings me joy to know that I'm planting seeds of sovereignty. Tick, 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 tick. I just love it. I just love it. I just love it. And the beauty of it all is, as I'm loving it, I know that that which is growing from that will only be love. It really gives us a time for our divine qualities that at this stage we're already interwoven into our humanness. It's time for that to be shared and expressed. So, coming back to leadership, stewardship, guardianship, what does one look for? Well, I can only share what I used to look for. And where is that leadership? Where does that leadership start? At home. We are birthed into a family and into a home, into a country and into a continent and onto Earth. Yeah. Yeah, so leadership's required on all those levels. Where does it start? At home. Where else? Where's home? It's inside of you. So therefore it starts there. People are looking for those that they know, because we see, hear, and sense everything that goes on. This is the beauty of the human body. It has given us senses. First, we mastered the senses outside of us, and then we start mastering our inner senses, and then we start weaving the two together. But those that are still awakening to the truth of who they are and still have to walk a path of integrating the inner and outer senses, the inner and outer beingness, they are on all three levels, which is on your conscious, your unconscious, and the subconscious level. Are they looking for places? What places are they looking for? Those places and people that make them feel safe. Oh, they're searching for safety. As human, our human senses know what feels safe and what doesn't feel safe. Our spiritual senses know all is safe. But you don't know that until you've integrated your humanity and your divinity. You don't know that yet. So when I just what popped into my mind, if you talk about someone and you say, do you feel safe? And then the spiritual communities will say, but everything is safe. The others will say, no, I'm okay. Do you know? But ultimately, the essence of it is we want to feel safe. And I can speak a lot about safety. I grew up in a country that's not safe. Yeah, albeit because it is in the grip of a matrix, of course, that creates that safety. When you don't know that your perception or your experience is that you think you are separate from the source of all of creation, you don't feel safe. You start connecting back into the gnosis of who you are as a divine human, then only you will know that you're safe. People seek safety. And you are that safety, where they can feel safe to talk about those nightmares or fears or, and I'm not saying let's go and sit and talk about all these things. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when someone in your neighborhood or shop, the most interesting places, people started talking to me. And I always wondered, I don't even know this person, but they're sharing all this information with me, and I'm sure you've experienced the same. It's because they feel safe, not being judged and all of those things, just feel safe. And there was many times that I didn't feel safe before I started my ascension. Now I know I'm safety, but I didn't know that at that stage. So people still are looking for that. And I really truly believe we don't choose who we serve. Those that needs what we are will be there. And therefore I'll be really my safety of the source consciousness that flows through me as a divine human. Because I know my own presence, which is safety and freedom and many other things. But I'm just now focusing on what leaders provide. They provide safety in home, in school, in workplace, everywhere. What else does leaders give? Care. To care deeply for another. To care deeply for all of creation. When another hurt, you've first experienced yourself, probably not always feel cared for, and maybe not giving all the self-care that you ever needed for yourself because we didn't know. It's okay. The care that we give to each other everywhere. To care so deeply that you know that when a flower dies, there's an aspect of you that's dying. And when another human hurt, you hurt. Yes, and people know when you care or not. They know this. Those human senses. So not even the spiritual, I'm not even talking about the spiritual senses, which cares on a very deep inherent way. Have you noticed when two people talk in the shop, for example, and you can see that the one is listening or talking, the other one is sort of listening. I don't know what that balloons was, sorry. Yeah, deep, deep, deep care is what people need. And the third thing is, again, it's me, my three messages. What others need from a leader is direction. They want to know where they're going. They want to know where they're going if they don't know what's going on around them. They need someone that will show them the way, give them the answers, provide a caring, safe space for them to be in. And usually in that moment when they experience this safety and this care, this love that your embodied presence provide to them, the answers will come to them, firstly, and secondly, they will come back to you because in that moment you gave some direction in some way or another. So providing direction, giving care, and creating safety is what people need right now, just to create some calmness and peacefulness in our collective consciousness. So to come to the end of this conversation, what I need to share next probably is that it is important for everyone to receive messages which is clear and consistent so that they know when they need a moment, it's there. And remember what I talked about when you start translating strategy, implementation, working plan, this, and the other messages get lost in translation. So keep it in create the context of the service, the leadership, the guidance, and have 3 short messages, grounded, anchored, because you already walked the path. You already walked it in many lifetimes, and all of that is happening, as we know, simultaneously right now in this moment. And yeah, and I think with that, maybe one last thing to share that's coming into my awareness right now, and that is also, I think I didn't finish that sentence. I think that's why I'm going back there. When I spoke about ICU and my husband's role in, in being there for me, his stable presence, his safe presence, taking care of me, I just realized it's the messages that I've just shared with you. What made that time until this time different? Remember, I shared with you also that 2 years ago, I thought I was ready to share my message, but something held me back. So what has held me back besides still being at the end of my healing journey, so that I also then activate the healing codes of my consciousness. Not only that, but also then being a witness to my husband's passing away. That happened very suddenly. In becoming aware that something is not right until the day that he passed away was a month. It's a month. So many things has happened in those 4 weeks, and I've been a witness to all of it. And I didn't try to make sense of why I was going through it, and then everything that has unfolded since that moment. But what I do know is that's the other codings of my consciousness is around sovereign relationship, the integration of my energy. That's maybe a word. Masculine and feminine energies within me. Had to be walked through. Started with not only the whole journey of my marriage, but also then the coming to an end of that relationship, and what sovereign relationship is. And I'm not going to share more than that for now. It's not the purpose. But what I'm saying is that during that time, which was also the last 2 years, there's a crystallization in the embodiment that has really anchored the crystalline, pristine, and most sovereign energy and consciousness of your message into your being, and been weaving the whole time to really become this embodied presence that you are, that I am. And so be aware of what those themes are and what your 3 messages are, that you are here to anchor as the sovereign Sophianic leader that you are. I'm so grateful that you've listened to this transmission and everything that's been moving through and being transmitted through me. I'm gonna end it here, and I'm looking forward to share next whatever wants to move through me. And I'm sending you so much love, many, 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 many blessings. Bye-bye.